everyone, it's Jasmine here with another episode of travel tips for you. And for this week's episode, I have 5 travel hacks for you. So this will be a part 2 of travel hacks. If you have not seen the first part yet, which is the first part of the travel hacks video, then make sure to check that out as well. And I hope everyone has had a great Tuesday so far. And without further ado, let's get started to the first travel hack. So the very first tip, and probably the most important tip that will save you lots of money, is to search for flights using private browser mode. I actually learned this in university, that the prices of the flights actually fluctuate based on the cookies in your web browser, and also depending on what browser you're using. So for example, if you're searching with Safari, which is a web browser for Apple products on MacBooks and iPads, where it can be found. And usually people who are searching with Apple products, the prices are usually a lot more expensive because they think that people who have Apple products usually have more money to spend compared to people who are using Windows laptop. Hence why people who are searching on a Windows laptop, the flight prices may be cheaper. And it also depends on how often you search for that particular destination. If you search for it maybe once, then the price will be a bit cheaper, and then after a couple of days you've been searching a bit more, suddenly the price is up again. That's just how things work. So make sure to search for flight deals using incognito mode. Now, tip number 2 is a tiny bit of a tricky situation, but not exactly. So I'm about to tell you is to be strategic with your flight cancellations. So for example, if you've booked a flight and you happen to not be able to make it, or you want to cancel your flight but your ticket is non-refundable, then what you can do is don't cancel your flight until the very last minute. So maybe your flight would have gotten canceled, or it's been delayed, then you would have gotten some kind of refund or reimbursement for the canceled flight or delayed flight that was not done on your part. So if you are lucky and something like that does happen, then you will get refunded. But if you had a non-refundable ticket, then you wouldn't have been entitled to anything anyways. And now for tip number 3 is probably my favorite, because I love to talk, is to talk to taxi drivers. Now, taxi drivers has a lot of stories to tell you, whether you believe it or not. You just have to get the courage and maybe chit chat a bit with the taxi driver on your way to the hotel from the airport. Ask what kind of things you should see, because taxi drivers usually know best. They've mostly been all around the city and know all the best spots. And next we have tip number 4 is for all the cold souls out there, and not in that kind of way, but more if you're the type of person who gets cold super easily, then I recommend taking a scarf that can also act as a blanket at the same time during your flight. I remember I've gone to so many flights and sometimes the air conditioning is just too cold in that flight. And nowadays flights don't even give you blankets anymore unless you're in business class. So a little life hack is to bring your own scarf and use that as a blanket as well, so it doesn't take up extra space and keeps you warm. Now, last but not least, might be a tiny bit of a weird one, but if you happen to have lost your toiletry bag, or you don't have one with you and you want to take all your toiletries with you on the way back home, our recommendation is to actually use a shower cap that can be found in most hotels, and that will prevent your toiletries from exploding on your flight back home. And there you have travel hacks part 2 of travel tips. And I hope you enjoyed our travel hacks this time, and who knows, maybe I'll make a 3rd part of travel hacks. And in case you missed the first episode, make sure to check that video out as well. And as always, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and comment on what kind of video you would like to see next week. And make sure to also check out JoinMyTrip to find like-minded travelers to go traveling with and come home with unforgettable memories. See you next week. Bye!